Welcome back. The House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic releasing its final report. It details its two-year investigation of the federal government's failed pandemic response. The 500-page report concludes that the virus most likely originated from a lab in Wuhan, China, and that it could not have been found in nature. The report found social distancing was not based on science and that there was no conclusive evidence that wearing masks protected Americans from COVID. The subcommittee also finding that former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo allegedly committed medical malpractice and publicly undercounted the total number of COVID-related nursing home deaths in the state, and revealed that Cuomo even tried to inappropriately influence testimony from a former aide before speaking to the subcommittee about his administration's COVID policies. Joining me now is the leader of the subcommittee, Ohio Congressman and chairman of the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, Brad Wenstrup. Mr. Chairman, great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
We want to get to all of these details. First, what was the most compelling issue from your standpoint that came out of this report in terms of your findings?
Well, I think what was disturbing, and it kind of sums up everything that followed in suit after that, is the cover-up really by China. Obviously, there was so much attempt to cover everything up, to not let us in, destroying evidence, et cetera. But also there's a cover-up within our government, or at least trying to steer people towards one concept of what maybe happened as opposed to being open and listening, and at other times just being wrong. And then international scientists who also participated in a cover-up by writing articles that claim it must have come from nature, when at the same time they're telling themselves amongst themselves that this thing looks engineered. This isn't something we can tolerate. You know, our investigation was long. It's been a long 2 years. We looked at origins. We looked at the laws and regulations we put in place. We looked at vaccines and treatments, the economy, the effect on the economy, the relief dollars and the fraud. We looked at school closures, education, mental health. We looked at the executive branch, where there was so much obfuscation. And they, when you go to them for documents as a chairman of a House committee, they should say, here's the documents you want. But instead, we're met with lawyers that are holding things back. This is public information. This is information that belongs to the American people. And so, you know, we were authorized and directed to look into these policies, the decisions made, and everything associated with COVID.
Do you believe that the cover-up, when you look at the domestic cover-up, I'm talking about government officials covering up information that American citizens needed and censoring information, working with social media to censor information, to basically lie to the public, do you believe that pressure of a cover-up was coming from communist China?
Well, I think people had a lot of reasons. Some people had personal bias. You know, if you are making your living on getting government grants to do risky gain-of-function research, or you've been outly proliferate about gain-of-function research and all the benefits for over a decade, you're going to have a tendency to want to say that this came from nature. That's human nature, to want to be able to do that. But we quelled scientific debate, and people know that. And I think we're going to have a chance in the next administration to actually have the open conversations about what true science really is, and put that forward, and then put a construct in place that will not allow something like this to happen. We need to have unbiased people running the show with no politics and no personal gain to be part of the conversation. You have to be able to look at everything. That wasn't done. You know, through this process, we even subpoenaed one employee that pled the fifth to all questions that we asked her. This was the person in charge of FOIA for Health and Human Services, and we found out through Dr. Morin's emails that he was going to go to her and find out how he could delete things and hide things, wanted people to go to his Gmail so he couldn't be FOIA'd. Well, guess what? We got all that information. And one of the things he said is this woman, Marge Moore, was the FOIA lady, and she's going to teach me how to do all these things. And she pled the fifth when we brought her in under subpoena.